This is Huion's Keydial Mini, the K20. It's a wireless remote to help speed up your workflow in place of a full keyboard. It works with mobile devices, and that's what we're checking out in this video. Let's dive in. Hey, Ryan here. So I like drawing, I like gadgets, and recently we've been looking at some controllers for digital art shortcuts. The latest one being the 8-bit Do Micro, which I really like. Then there's this one from Huion, which I got with the Canvas Pro 19, but it is available as a separate purchase. It's not a bad remote, with 18 buttons and a dial. It gives you quite a bit in the way of shortcut options, but it's not my ideal design, with the buttons being very much same shape, same feel. But then so is a regular keyboard. It just takes a while to build that muscle memory in comparison to something like a gamepad, or yes, I'm gonna say it, a toolbox. The Keydial Mini seemed to have a bit of a bumpy start as well in terms of mobile compatibility, judging by app reviews and some Reddit comments, but there have been some updates, so I thought it was time to give it a shot. It works on both iPad and Android, but I had no luck using it with XP Pen's Magic Drawing Pad. On the Galaxy Tab S9 FE, however, no problems whatsoever, so let's start there. First, you need the Keydial app from the Play Store to be able to customize it. It's pretty straightforward. There'll be a little welcome tutorial to show you around, and then you land on this view of your keypad. You tap on the button on the screen to select it, and then modify a hotkey to change. Pushing the buttons on the actual controller here won't do anything. It's not going to select that button in your app. There's this presets page where you can select a shortcut from a few different apps. While it only lists a handful, any app that has keyboard shortcuts will work here, so that's the only thing you need to check. I'll be drawing in Magma in the browser, which obviously isn't listed, so I'll instead go to the Customize tab. Here you have a few drop-downs for different keys, even mouse clicks, arrows, and F keys. Once you're done, you just hit Finish, and that's all there is to it. No need to sync or do anything else. You can immediately switch back and forth between your drawing app and this to change something if you need to, and it takes effect immediately. The way I approach things is to group my keys and functions. So here I'm using the dial for the brush size, top row for tools like eyedropper, eraser, blend. Next are layer controls, then selections and transform, and then modifiers and view in the last two rows. Now there's a problem here. I don't see any way to save these settings as a custom profile. So what happens when I want to use the remote with different apps on the same device? I might have to adjust the shortcuts each time in the Keydial app beforehand. I bounce around between different apps a lot, so this bothers me quite a bit. For those who tend to just stick with one app for drawing, it's less of a problem. Over on Magma, I hosted this Pigeon Warrior art jam, and a few other people hopped in to draw as well. It was pretty fun, and the remote held up fine. Everything works as I expected it to. Unlike on computer though, the dial can only have a single function. I normally don't like cycling through wheel functions anyway, so I didn't feel like I was missing out here. Normally the dial button is used for cycling those functions, but on here it's just a regular programmable button like the others. So the Android experience, not bad. On iPad, is it any different? Not really, the setup is much the same. You first download the Keydial app from the App Store, go through the setup process here. There's this weird thing where it seems like... Hang on, can you set up profiles here? I'm not sure, we're going to come back to this. Tapping outside of the window takes you to the customization page. Initially, you have this darn banner for Huion's High Paint app, which pretty much makes it impossible to set things up until you dismiss it or turn your tablet around into portrait mode. There are quite a few additional presets here for different apps, and yes, it looks like you actually can save these customizations to a settings profile. That means you'll be able to use this with more than one app on your iPad as well. You'll just have to change the profile in the Keydial app first before switching. I tested this first in Magma again and was good, but let's hop over to Procreate. When it came to setting up my keys, I ran the apps in split screen to easily call up the shortcuts list for reference. Keeping with the Pigeon Warrior thing, I was thinking about some sort of crest as a t-shirt design, Pigeon because IQ, and drawing tools because of my website, drawyourweapon.com. Shameless plug right there. I recently watched Trent Kanuga's video on doing the faction crests for League of Legends, which was really interesting, and I loved this about World of Warcraft as well. The controller works as I'd expect it to. I could adjust my brush size in various increments, pull up my quick menu, but I actually found myself using this controller a lot less here than I had planned. Procreate is so well designed for the pen and touch experience, and it seems a little silly to use a controller here. You, on the other hand, might prefer this way of working. So wrapping up, not bad. You've got a lot of customization options here. There's no delay between when you push the button and when the action takes place. It's light too, so throw it in your bag when you go sketching at the coffee shop or whatever. But it is still quite a bit bigger than the 8-bit Do Micro. This is half the price, and though it has fewer functions, 16 buttons instead of 19 in the dial, I do prefer the button layout. I felt it was much easier to memorize what I'd set things to. I think this is not a bad option for iPad, but for Android, not being able to save the custom profiles is a bit of a bummer for me, and hopefully that's something that Huion will address. Now, should you buy something like this? Well, it depends. A lot of mobile apps are designed as mobile apps with a much cleaner, more intuitive interface. And a keypad here can seem a bit excessive. But with apps like Magma, Clip Studio Paint, Critter, these are pretty much exactly the same as their PC versions. And so a keyboard here pairs really well. And in that scenario, a keypad like this starts to make a lot more sense. But what do you think? Would the Keydial Mini work for you, or are you eyeballing something else? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm going to get painting. See you guys again soon.